time, I knew a lot about crowd control. Before I left the military, I was in the 519th MP Battalion, stationed at Fort Meade, Maryland. And Company C, I was in Company C in the 519th MP Battalion. And our primary mission was to guard the east side of the White House during all the riots and demonstrations that were taking place in the late 60s and the early 70s. We never saw the east side of the White House. We were always on the streets in Washington, D.C., someplace. 519th MP Battalion was the premier riot control unit in the U.S. military at the time, and one of the premier units in the world. Every summer, we would move from Fort Meade, Maryland to Fort Lee, Virginia, where we would put on crowd control and riot control demonstrations for civilian police departments and militaries from around the world. We've also got someone else here in this sanctuary this morning that I'm sure is very familiar with crowd control. That'd be Carl White sitting back here because of his previous vocation in the West Virginia State Police. You know, Jesus knows something about crowds as well. Every place Jesus goes, he seems to attract a crowd. John the Baptist has just died. As Bob said, Jesus is trying to withdraw from the crowd. I'm assuming he's looking for a place to breathe and some peace and quiet. And so he boards a boat. And the crowd sees him do this, and they follow on foot along the shoreline. And when Jesus pulls into the beach and steps out, the crowd is waiting for him. And he responds, the scripture says, with compassion. So what do we make of this reading today? I'd like to share some ideas. I think I've got 3 ideas that I'd like to share with you. Something a little different than we always hear preaching about God provide, God provide. And here's one idea that I would share. This story reminds us that Jesus has a constant awareness of those to whom he is given. You know, there's a human element to Jesus, and I'm not talking about this human, divine, theological stuff. And it has everything to do with the fact that Jesus is always surrounded by humans. His disciples were curious onlookers. He had humans following him everywhere and at all times. The disciples were always close by, asking their questions or making their human observations. Some of their outbursts were about the demands that Jesus was making on them. Questions about who would sit at his left and his right in his kingdom. Or questions about when Jesus was going to overthrow the government. Now this is refreshing. It really is. You want to know why it's refreshing? It reserves a place for us in the crowd. For you and for I. With Jesus, there's always room for doubt and questions, for false assumptions, and faithless forgetfulness. For folks just like us, there is always room in the crowd for us. Jesus knew that then, and he knows it now. Included in Jesus' peripheral vision are those who have no faith and are looking for proof of life in others' faith. And he also notices those who are looking for their place in the crowd. There are some who are wondering if they'll ever fit in. When Jesus is surrounded by so many spoken and unspoken expectations, he's thorough in his glance our way. His look pierces to the depth of our souls. That's what makes a relationship with Jesus possible. He's fully aware of the complexities, the simplicities that make all of us up. In the grand scope of life, from its beginnings to its endings, Jesus has been in control. And so there's nothing new in the crowd and nothing in the crowd that will cause his authority to be in jeopardy. You see, Jesus knows the crowd. Here's another idea. It reminds us that Jesus is not overlooking our needs. You know, there are people with blue eyes and green eyes and brown eyes, and there are people with straight hair and curly hair and no hair, and there are tall people and short people, and there are quiet people, and there are rowdy people. There are rich people with helpers and people who need help. And they're all in the crowd. And they're all welcome. Matthew says that Jesus saw the crowd and had compassion on them. They're following Jesus for a reason, right? They are so needy that it's impossible for Jesus not to take notice. They've been sitting on this hillside above the beach all day. No coffee breaks, no bottled water, no timeouts. It's late afternoon, and the hunger pangs have started. And Jesus sees that the people have a noticeable need. And when we too gather in anticipation of Jesus, we have enough need that is noticeable. Jesus' response wasn't just a word or a prayer or even a touch. It wasn't a bless you brother or a bless you sister or any of that. It was very tangible. It's like crawling under a house to work on someone's plumbing. He touched their lives in a way that would allow them to put their trust in it. Jesus did that by giving some organization to the crowd and by multiplying their paltry provisions and feeding their bodies. Jesus' interest was not then and is not now limited to heaven. You hear that? It wasn't then and it isn't now limited just to heaven. His feeding of the 5,000 wasn't about future spiritual blessings over here someplace, brother and sister. But it was about current, tangible needs. It wasn't about hope for a brighter tomorrow. It wasn't about becoming stronger in faith. You see, here's the real deal. Jesus cares very deeply about what we're muddling through right now. Right now. And when evening comes, if we're still hungry, it's not a peaceful night's sleep that we need, it's fish and chips. Jesus knows this. And he asks his disciples to distribute the fish and the loaves. He not only invites us to sit at the table, but to wait on tables and serve as well. That's what the house of the carpenter does. I see Mike and Michelle say, that's what the house of the carpenter does every day of the week. In tangible ways. They work to meet the needs of folk. One final idea. It reminds us that in the crowd, Jesus has already provided at least a few seeds for what he intends to multiply in our daily lives. You see, no crowd is without hope. There's no need for manna and quail. After all, there's 5 loaves and 2 little fishes. But in addition to the bread and the fish, there is an initial act of obedience and sacrifice. The little boy's lunch and his willingness to share it kickstarts the miracle. You know, it's a bit frustrating for us to admit that Jesus knows the answer to every question that he asks us. It's frustrating because he will normally point out the obvious. Jesus has a way of stating the obvious. You know, it's a daunting task that some of you may well know, to feed a large crowd. It takes a lot of work and a lot of planning. And so Jesus asks, what do you have? And most of us would say, not much. Give up. Yet when all is said and done, 12 doggy baskets are filled up to take home. And Jesus knew that this would happen. Jesus knew his crowd based on their past. He was concerned as well about their present and their future. He was being himself, the one who was, who